they're all going to be let off scot-free. You don't even need a crystal ball. Okay, I don't have to be a fortune teller to tell you right now that every single one of these cops that killed
Never said I oppose fracking. Show the tape. Put it on your website. Put it on the website.
Live from Clark Studios in Rochester, New York. Broadcasting around the world. You're listening to You Made It Political, where the voice of the keyboard warrior is finally heard and the arguments presented are put to the political test. And now, here's your host, Matt Clark.
So today there's no big, long, drawn-out monologue because I am too livid to even write one. I just popped on the CDC's website to take a look at what they're doing to try to help these kids get back into school, and lo and behold, I noticed they have been hijacked once again by the teachers' unions. As if the unions haven't already destroyed our children's lives, they're doing everything they can to put the nail in the coffin. And they hold their hands up and continue to say, well, we have nothing to do about it because we're only following the state guidelines. It's all complete and utter bullshit. And everybody continues to play the blame game. Well, we've had enough. The parents have had enough. The communities have enough. We've all had enough. The lawyers have had enough. We are now going to start the biggest movement, the biggest class action lawsuit the teachers' unions have ever seen in their lifetime, because we are going to get the goddamn mask off our children's face. So why am I so livid today? What have I just read that is sending me through the absolute roof with furiousness here? I went online, and I'll show you guys in just a minute. But we all know we're trying to get these kids back to school, right? We all want them back to school. We want them maskless. We want them having a normal life. We want them living the dream that we all grew up living. We want them playing sports. We want them getting ready for their college scholarships. We want to get them ready for real life. Well, what they've all experienced in the last couple of years is everything but normal. And the sad part is that half the community, half the state, half the country are starting to accept this new normal crap. And that is what it is. It's utter and complete, total garbage. Well, we're not going to stand for it any longer. Let's head over to the Keyboard Warrior Cam and see what just happened over on Fox News media site and what they had to say about the CDC updating their guidelines. No, it's not for the better. We've taken 5 steps back yet once again. Let's take a look. So the CDC, as you guys can see, has updated K through 12 social distancing guidelines to reflect that they can safely reopen while maintaining 3 feet of space. Now you think, okay, great. We're reducing the social distancing guidelines. We're going to finally be able to get these kids back 5 days a week. And we have been fighting really, really hard. I don't know where you all are around the country or the world. I know we have a lot of people tune in from all over the world, all over the country, but I'm referring to right here in New York State. We have been fighting massively to get these kids back to school. And trust me, if it wasn't for the lawsuits, if it wasn't for the screaming and the yelling on a constant day-to-day basis, these kids would probably never be going back. The only reason our officials here in New York State are finally entertaining the idea is because we're suing the shit out of them. That's right. 16 lawsuits in Monroe County alone against the school districts for negligence. And they're all playing the blame game. The health officials are blaming the state. The state said the teachers have had the choice the whole time. The teachers are blaming the unions. The unions are blaming the health officials. It's just around and around we go, the circle of insanity. But we don't care. We do not care anymore. We're just going to start suing everybody. And trust me, if you think I'm kidding, take this threat very seriously. There's more money than ever before that is being willing to thrown at these lawsuits. There's a queue a mile long of parents who will throw money at any lawyer right now who wants to get the job done. And that's exactly what's happening. In just a few minutes, I probably already racked up hundreds of thousands of dollars in money for lawsuits based on how many people have already raised their hands. So yeah, I'm a bit pissed off. I'm a bit livid. I don't care whose fault it is at this point. I don't care who screwed up. If the kids don't get back to school full-time, in person, all grades, all districts, maskless, we are going to continue to throw money at these lawsuits. And this is why. So you look at Fox News today and you think, great, we're reducing the distance rule to 3 feet. Well, it's not so good because, look, we have to now give up our freedom of not wearing the goddamn mask because we get to move a little bit closer to our friends. So we have to maintain 3 feet of space, the children in schools, as long as there is universal mask use. I honestly, I almost freaking jumped out my window and just, I don't know what I was going to do next. But I read that and I was like, you've got to be effing kidding me. First of all, let's be honest here. The CDC is not in control. We know they're not in control. Who's really in control here? It's not the CDC, it's the teachers' unions. The teachers' unions have continued and have been holding our children hostage since the beginning of this bullshit pandemic. And I'm calling it BS, guys. I'm calling it BS. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care how many lives have been lost. There could be 2 million goddamn lives lost for all I care, because the percentage of those who actually die is so ridiculously low that it's not even a blip on the chart compared to other real pandemics this country and the world has faced in the past. 99% survival rate. And we're destroying everybody's lives over it. I can handle losing income from my business. I can handle my friends and family around me struggling to not see each other for a while. I can even handle our elderly being locked down without us being able to come around. Although that was a tough one to swallow, I can handle that. What I cannot handle is the abuse that's being done to our children. That's where I draw the line. And it's where I've always drawn the line. I can't stand to see these kids suffer so badly. When is enough enough? When do the parents stand up and say enough? You'd think the unions and our health officials would already be, in the school districts, would already be a little bit nervous that we've got 16 lawsuits being thrown at them. You'd think they'd already be a bit scared by that. Well, they just doubled down with more masks. And is it going to be 1 mask or 2 masks? Because I think 2 masks are on the way if we don't put a stop to this immediately. And I'll tell you why. Over on my own personal feed earlier, let's head back over to the Keyboard Warrior Cam and I'll show you guys something. We'll get into the article on the CDC's guidelines, if you want to even call it that. Let's call it the teachers union guidelines, because we all know the teachers unions are dictating what's going on here. They are telling the CDC exactly how to behave. Guys, the CDC has no clue what's going on. They've never had a clue. Okay, I may as well have given you advice on what to do and would have been just the same as the circus act that the CDC continues to deliver on a daily basis, because they change their guidelines every day based on what group screams the loudest at them. That's all it is. And right now, it's the teachers union. And Biden and Harris are going to back them because they promised them for their votes. The teachers union is one of the biggest contributors to the Biden administration. So if you think the CDC has an actual say based on data, you are just as clueless as they are, because they have zero say whatsoever. It's all for votes. It's all pandering to the left. And if we don't put our foot down and start suing everybody in our way, this is going to continue to go on forever. Children's lives have already been ruined. Children's lives have already been lost. Scholarships destroyed. Kids are falling further behind here in New York State. We'll get into the scholarship situation in just a second. But this is just really, really not going to turn out well for our children if we don't step it up a notch and start going after everybody who is in our way. So I just posted, the idiots over at the CDC really are a bunch of effing morons. And I mean that. I wholeheartedly mean that. You can laugh at me. I don't care if there's haters on this post. They are total jackasses. CDC has updated K through 12 school distancing guidelines to reflect that they can safely return while maintaining 3 feet of distance or space between students. First of all, who is ever maintaining 6 feet? Let's be honest. Do you guys really think these kids are walking around the hallways with freaking rulers out with like a 6-foot radius around them? No, of course not. What do you think they're doing out in the playground? What do you think they're doing after school? My neighbors, all the kids, they're all in the cul-de-sac hanging out on top of each other every single day. Like the teachers don't know that. Like the unions don't know that. So these kids, the second they step out of school perimeters, they're maskless and they're hanging all over each other at parties and play dates. We do not have our kids locked down like you have them locked down in school. Therefore, this whole exercise is 100% pointless. So yeah, the CDC doesn't know what they're talking about. The teachers unions, they don't know what they're talking about. The districts don't have a freaking clue. And anybody who supports this are just as clueless as the rest of them. Let's start using our heads, people, and throw away all this emotional bullshit of, oh, but my grandma, my grandpa. Okay, listen, if you're still concerned, pull your kid out of school. Double mask them up. Tell grandma and grandpa to lock down for a little bit longer. The rest of us, we're done. We've had it. If you want to mask up, that's fine. If you want to teach behind plexiglass, that's fine. But stop taking your fear out on our children. That is the message I want to send to all of you teachers, to the districts and the unions. Now, if any of you teachers are fighting for us, like a gentleman is in Los Angeles, who I will show you a video of in just a second, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate your fight. I know it's not fair to generalize all teachers in this horrific situation that we as parents face on a daily basis. So for those of you teachers who are fighting with us, who are sending letters to Albany, to your superintendents, to the CDC, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. To the other 99.9% of you, get the hell out of the way, because we are coming after you and the unions, and we're going to throw everything we have at this madness until it ends. We are stepping it up a notch moving forward. You can damn well better know and believe that's what's happening. So why do I think double masks are coming? Here's why. So I posted, WTF, now it's social distancing and mask use. Guys, let me remind you, in New York State, I don't know how it is around the rest of the country. Comment below what it is in your state. I'd love to know. But in New York State, it's very simple. Social distancing or masks. Social distancing when you cannot use a mask. New York State mandate, not my law, not even a law, but it's the New York State's mandate. Social distancing or mask use. And this is why lately I'm now advocating take the mask off. Everybody, take it off. Go to the store, maintain social distancing. If you cannot maintain social distancing, respect your neighbors, respect your community, put a mask on. People are still scared. They have every right to be. That's fine. If you can maintain social distancing, take the damn mask off. Very simple. Take it off. So it's now what they want, what the CDC wants, is social distancing and mask use. So I wrote, and I am pissed. And listen, I know there are people, there are superintendents, there are judges, there are school districts, teachers, Board of Education members, all my friends on Facebook. And I'm sorry for attacking you guys, but I hope the school districts are ready for the next fight of our lives, because these kids are not going to be masked all day. If the NBA, if the NFL, if all of these players can play, if these major league professional sports can play without a mask, and they are more at risk than these little kids, then these kids can hang out without a mask. So I don't want to hear it. Spare me your BS science rhetoric. And let's use our heads. Let's be logical here. We're allowing professional football players, hockey players, baseball players, basketball players to all play without masks. Yet our high schoolers have to mask up on the football field? How does that make sense? Who is calling the shots here? What morons are making these rules up? So, you guys better be ready. This will be our next lawsuit. Absolutely. Our next lawsuit guaranteed. Board of Education, school districts, teacher unions, hear me out. Expect hell if the masks don't come off. And this is a fight for everybody around the country. I like I said, I have people who watch this show all over the country, all over the world. We have your back. Anybody who's just as furious about this, join my groups. We're going to fight for all of you. Okay, we're fighting. This is a nationwide movement now. Amanda said, so Amanda was kind enough to post, I'm not sure it's changing the CDC. I'm not sure if changing the CDC to 3 foot is a good thing. I'm happy it's closer to back to normal, whatever that means, I guess. That's why she has it in quotes. But are they going to push the masks harder now and say kids now need 2 masks? Well, why would you think that, Amanda? Is it because Syracuse University, I'm going to try to get this better in the view for you all. I didn't plan this. This is kind of ad hoc. Syracuse University has now said, until further notice, any individual living or working in those dorms will be required to adhere to a double masking policy while in those buildings. The only exception to this policy applies to the students when they are in their own rooms. Well, thanks, Syracuse. At least we get to take the muzzle off the kids when they go to bed in their own room. This is inhumane. Where are the civil rights unions? Where are the human rights groups? Where is anybody? Where's HIPAA? We have nobody speaking out. Where are the lawyers who are so money hungry 99% of the time? They've disappeared. You'd think the attorneys would be having a field day over this right now. They're nowhere to be seen either. There's a few of my friends who actually have the balls to go up against the unions and the county officials. Very, very few. Disappointed is an understatement at this point. So we're now worried because Syracuse University wants double masks. We're now sitting here thinking, are you going to really make our children double mask up? So I found that very interesting. Thank you, Amanda, for posting that on my wall today. And then, as you can see, there are loads of comments. So I said, lawyers, please stand up already. There are tons within just a few minutes of lawyers popping on saying, let's have a meeting Wednesday, group leader, start masking up. And other lawyers are all jumping on board now. This is right here in Monroe County. So the lawyers are coming on board. They're furious. I'm in. Everyone's in. We're going to fight. My goal and what I'm fighting for is not a bullshit leniency on safe distance, as if that was ever a sound mandate. Masks are baseless and have no experience behind them, but the ill effects from them are problematic. So my fight, says Andrea, is with masks and experimental vaccines. Not okay to force either one on healthy humans. Children need to express emotion, smile, and be smiled at, talk to their teachers and peers, and should fear someone in a mask. If you're not fighting for full-on freedom, then don't bother. I'm all done with people who say this is a step. It's not a step. It's a crumb and a decoy. Not enough. F your masks. Thank you, Andrea, for posting that. This is what the fight's about. Listen, the other day, my 4-year-old, and the reason I'm so upset about this is because parents, I didn't really care about this whole mask thing a few months ago. My kid's about to start school. He's 4 years old. He's going to UPK. Very excited. This should be a very exciting moment for both parents and kids to start school. It should be the most exciting period of my life. And it's not. This is the most miserable experience of my life. What's supposed to be exciting? So my boy, he's in a private nursery school, and finally they ditched the masks. No more masks. So I told Jaden, I said, Jaden, you don't have to wear a mask to school anymore. This was a week ago. I said, good news, you don't have to wear a mask to school anymore. He said, okay, cool, that's great. So we're getting ready to leave for school the first Monday morning that we don't have to wear masks anymore. I said, you're not taking your mask. Remember, you don't need your mask. He said, but Daddy, I don't want to get other people sick. And I thought, that's the sweetest thing he's ever said. And I'm so glad my kid has learned at such a young age to be so considerate of others. But then I followed it with, you're not taking the mask, get in the damn car. Because although that was very sweet of him, I have to put my foot down as a parent and prove to him and every other kid that this is not normal. This is far from normal. The left, the Democrats, and I don't want to say all of them because a few of you might actually be Democrats watching this show, and I don't want to generalize because that's not fair. But let's be honest, this is a very liberal-induced movement, and now they have normalized, at least the teachers' unions, who is so very heavily liberal indoctrinated. They are trying to normalize mask wearing to the point now where when people want to take their mask off, when kids want to take their mask off, they're nervous because they don't want to be left out. We got this whole thing all wrong. Wearing the mask is not normal. Wearing the mask is something you should be embarrassed of at this point, especially after all the data's come out. That's what's not normal. So not wearing a mask is normal. We need to now push harder than ever to normalize what's really normal in the first place, and that's not wearing a damn mask. That's what we need to get back to. So let's head over to the article where the CDC speaks a little bit more about the fact that they changed their guidelines. So the CDC, for those of you who are just joining the show, the CDC has updated school distancing guidelines to 3 feet amid mounting pressure. Great news. Now you'd think this is awesome. We're finally moving forward. Great. Their sub-headline, obviously, they still recommend 6 feet of distance between adults in the building and between adults and students. I mean, whatever. Adults, seriously, get a grip, okay? Put on a freaking hazmat suit if you want. I don't care. Walk around in a plexiglass bubble. But just do what you got to do and leave the rest of us out of it. So, of course, they want to still make a big deal out of adults and kids, okay? Even though the transmission between children and adults is so minusculely low to basically non-existent. I don't even know why they feel the need to say this. Again, this is not the CDC talking. Who's talking here? The teachers' unions. They continue to talk. This is them. So you'd think anyway, okay, great. On the surface, we're getting somewhere. This is awesome. 3 feet, fine. Thanks for working with us. The Center for Disease Control updated K through 12 to reflect they can safely reopen while maintaining 3 feet of space between students as long as there is universal mask use. So there's the catch 22. As long as there is universal mask use. The teachers' unions are still calling the shots here. The CDC continues to lead you all to believe they're really in charge. They're not in charge. They've never been in charge. Fauci has never been in charge. He's only in charge as long as the Biden administration says he's in charge. And that's the difference. Trump made it very clear to Fauci, you're only here to give us your recommendation. Since when does the CDC actually call the shots? Since when does the CDC and Fauci dictate how our children live their lives? This was never supposed to be their call. The health organization is not our government. They're supposed to recommend their suggestions to the government, and we're supposed to say, thank you, we'll take it from here. But for somewhere along the line, we started bowing down to Fauci and started looking at him like he was a god. And this is what I respect about former President Trump. He put Fauci in his place. He said, Fauci, bro, You're just here to tell me what you think. I'll take it from here. You've told me your opinion. You're recommending 6 feet. Awesome. We'll try to do that when we can. And when we can't, we can't. It's as simple as that. Now, scurry along. You're done. Fauci didn't like that, obviously. Well, Fauci's just a doctor. He's not the president. And even if he was the president, he's not a dictator. Because in America, when it comes to these types of issues, we're supposed to be able to live freely. There are no laws, but our governors have duped us into thinking that these are laws. And now half the state, half the country is now running around like little mask Nazis, ratting out every single person they see without a mask. What the hell has gotten into half of you? I mean, what are you all so scared of? What are you afraid of that you can't manage to deal with on your own while minding your own business? What are you so scared of? Catching the virus? I've got it. I had it before we even knew what it was. And you get over it. And for those people who don't get over it, who don't make it, it's sad. As Cuomo said, people die. That's just the deal. Sucks. People have been dying of the flu for hundreds of years. 50 to 60,000 people die of the flu every year, except for this year, of course. The flu disappeared. It's non-existent, miraculously, because COVID now has, I guess, attacked and wiped out the flu. So I'm not sure what everyone continues to be so scared of. If you just pull up the CDC site and you look at all the percentages of how people die around the world, you're going to see that the COVID or coronavirus is less than any other way of dying. Yet everybody still walks around scared to death as if they're going to catch the virus and die tomorrow. And they're not. You guys aren't going to die. Most of you will not die. A very, very small percentage of you will actually even have symptoms, let alone feel sick. So people are scared to death. They continue to be scared. That's fine. At some point, we're really going to need to put foot down and ask that the rest of you get on with your life and start minding your own business. You really need to start minding your own business, people. Stop worrying about what the rest of us choose to do with our life. If you see me in a store without a mask, don't even come near me because you're not going to like what I have to say because I've had enough. Let's see what the keyboard warriors have to say about the CDC's BS guidelines. We're now being held hostage to wearing masks. Here we are thinking we're finally getting somewhere. And they pull a 180, all because the teachers' unions, because they're buckling. They're buckling. The teachers' unions know they're out of options. They're being sued. This is their way of saying, fine, we'll meet you halfway. Not good enough. Not good enough. Masks need to come off. And based on what I just posted on my own personal wall, I'm very confident we're going to make that happen. Because of how many lawyers and attorneys just jumped on that post. And how many parents have already stood up and said, I got money to invest into this lawsuit. It's very, very encouraging to see. So I wrote, the CDC is effing clueless. These aren't their guidelines. This BS is being dictated to them by the teachers' unions. The CDC actually have zero say. And we're letting them get away with it. They are ruining our kids' lives. Let's talk about scholarships for a second. How many parents' kids aren't going to get the scholarship anymore? How many parents' kids aren't going to get into a good school anymore because they just lost their junior and senior year? That's it. They don't get a redo. How many sophomores didn't care about school until finally they were starting to take it serious in their junior year and they got the rug pulled from under them and they don't have that opportunity now to make up, which is really the only 2 years any of us ever cared about anyway. Who really cared about their grades before junior year? How many kids were about to prove themselves in their junior and senior year and get recruited into a college of their choice? How many have lost a full ride and they will never be able to get that back? And it blows my mind that parents are okay with this. How is anybody okay with this? And if you're not okay with it, you got to start fighting. Because these kids are not going back maskless. They're not going back to the old normal unless we keep fighting. That is the only reason they are even entertaining them going back 5 days a week. And they know they've been backed into a corner, and they know they have nowhere to hide anymore. They know they are done. They are finished. So they come out with this BS. Hey, let's get the CDC to drop the 6-foot rule to 3, but they have to wear masks. That's not getting us anywhere. That's continuing to instill fear in these children. And you're now holding these parents hostage because a lot of them, they won't send their kids back to public school if they have to continue to wear masks. They'll send them to a private school that doesn't make you wear it. But now they have to pay more money out of pocket and their local school taxes. So they're now getting double screwed financially. They're being held hostage, all because the unions want to make a mountain out of a molehill. All because of a virus with a 99.7% survival rate. And even if you take the highest risk demographic, which is, I think, is a 70-year-old plus age group, it's on the CDC's website. I think it's like 97.5% survival rate. So scholarships are being destroyed. Who do we sue for the loss of damages, for compensatory damage? Who do we sue for this? Who is responsible for all of the scholarship money that all of the seniors have lost over the last 2 years? Who do we come to for that money? Because you can't get that back. They're never going to get that starting position. These are conversations that parents are starting to have, and it's starting to get real. And if we do not get back to the old normal ASAP, the fight is only going to get louder, stronger, and more expensive for those of you who continue to go up against these parents. And I will be right there fighting with all of you. Andre says, what scientific study did the CDC use as reference for the 3-foot rule? Great question, Andre. What study's been done? Because we know the CDC is horrible at their studies. They actually don't do studies. They make shit up. Is the same 100-year-old study they used for the 6-foot rule? True story. Why not a child in each classroom so they don't come into contact with a virus that really affects them? Imagine if this nonsense was the norm during flu season, that kids are susceptible to catching. You would have 18-year-olds still in 9th grade. Idiocy. Absolute stupidity here. That's a great comment, Andre. Phenomenal comment. We're using a 100-year-old 6-foot rule to deal with a virus in 2021. This is not the 1918 flu pandemic, which, by the way, killed 50 million people in 2 years. The flu pandemic, 50 million. Coronavirus in the United States alone has killed about 500,000. Globally, maybe 1.5 at this point. In 2 years, the flu pandemic wiped out 50 million people worldwide. That is a pandemic. You will not see me running my mouth if 50 million people just drop dead. I'd throw my hands up and say, fine, all right, I'm going to shut up. I'm done. You win. I'm going to go hide in my basement for the next 2 years. Let me know when this garbage is over. I'd still be doing my show, but I'd give you guys all the credit that you deserve, or the CDC at least. So they're using a 100-foot or 100-year rule to come up with their 6-foot. So I'd like to know, CDC, what measures, what scientific study did you actually do here? I'm guessing you didn't do one. I'm guessing you got a call from the teachers' unions and you were told what to do next to make all of the parents buy into the fact that you're actually making an effort, which you are not. This is a disastrous excuse for getting the kids back. Lee says distance with a mask is irrelevant when you're spreading by surface contact. They're not saying anything about cleaning door handles or any other surface they touch. We're being brainwashed into thinking it's only flying around attacking people like fighter planes. It's true. Who's wiping down the desks in between class? Who's wiping the doorknobs? Who's wiping all the lockers that the kids wipe their hands across as they go by? Who's wiping down the buses? Nobody. The whole thing's BS. This is as stupid as a grocery store putting that dumb piece of plastic on the credit card keypad and never changing it in between people using it. You guys do realize that pad there doesn't magically make germs go away. You still got to change that little plastic wrap you put around it. You still got to spray it down. This is the stupidity of America right now. Absolute insanity. It's really proving just how stupid most Americans are. I lived in China for 10 years. Trust me, they are not this dumb. They're actually very smart people when it comes to their health. They're laughing at how stupid we are right now. And Lee, you're exactly right. 100% right. We're being brainwashed into thinking it's only flying around attacking people like fighter planes. It's just like going to the restaurant. You have to wear your mask in, but once you sit down, you're good to go. What? The virus doesn't attack below 5 feet? How are we okay with this? It just blows my mind that half the country is sitting not in their head at this garbage, that they're actually buying into it. Don't even get me started on the freaking one lane in the aisles situation on the grocery store floors. Anthony says, you mean the universal 2% effective mask? Kids aren't passing this to each other like adults, and the science doesn't have an answer for that yet. Why keep the mask charades going? Let's head over to a story in Los Angeles now, where a teacher is actually fighting. There's a teacher actually fighting for us. It's great to see. A California teacher is fighting fighting the unions now. Frustrating to see union become political. This one California teacher in Los Angeles is frustrated because the unions have become political and they become an advocate for defund the police. Well, this one teacher has had enough and he's put his foot down. Let's take a listen. We may be having an issue with the video, but I'll just go ahead and read it to you guys. So we've got an issue. This one teacher, he's in California. We'll try to go back to the video and play because it's a good one, and I really want to show you. This teacher in California, he's in Los Angeles. He's stepped up. He's had enough. He's sick of the unions playing politics. He's sick of the unions advocating for defund the police. And he's now putting his foot down. So this California teacher is suing the unions. And we'll play the video for you right now. I think the internet's mad at me for talking so much shit in this show. Here we go. So this California teacher went on Fox News.
This is a real B&H customer story. Fred Smith, fitness really instructor and podcaster, started a new business during the pandemic.
Have you heard from them? I mean, this is a big story now. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of comments from friends and whatnot. Have you heard from the union yet?
I have not heard anything from any of the union personnel. Everything is going through my attorney through the Freedom Foundation, who've been helping me out in this entire process. So I got to give them, a bit of gratitude because otherwise I couldn't have afforded to do this fight.
Sure. Well, it's got to be kind of a head scratcher. You close to 40 years ago, you decided you want to be a teacher. And now, just like so many other parts of American lives, suddenly there's politics injected into it, and it kind of steers you away from what you were wanting to do in the first place.
It gets a little frustrating seeing all the political stuff that goes on. I've had some amazing students, and I've had a fantastic career. I'm at a wonderful school with a wonderful administration, wonderful faculty, and I've loved it for decades, so that's why I've done it for this long. It's been truly a godsend to be able to have this career.
So as you can see, even the teachers have had enough over in California, and I applaud this gentleman for taking a stance and now coming forward and deciding to sue the teachers' unions. So it's good to see that not all teachers are against us. It's good to see men, women, like this gentleman over in California. California teacher is suing the Los Angeles Teachers Union over political rhetoric and calls to defund the police. Now, he's not calling to defund the police. He's suing the unions because they are calling to defund the police. He's had enough. He's saying, hold on a second. Since when are the unions so political? Since when do we let the unions play politics? And this is exactly what we just saw with masks, with social distancing, with destroying these kids' lives. We've seen it. So it's good to see that he's standing up. He's put his foot down. And I'd be curious to hear what the American people have to say about somebody finally sticking up and standing up to the unions. And I'd like to see more teachers now come forward. And I bet they want to come forward. The unions are a vicious bunch. They're a mob. They are a disgusting, dangerous mob. Look at what they've done. They have controlled pretty much the entire education system in America right now. That is how powerful and dangerous the unions are, the teachers' unions. To be honest, I'd love to see them dismantled overnight. There's no room in education for the unions. There's no need for the teachers' unions anymore. It's as simple as that. They've destroyed these children's lives. We gave them a try. It's time to dismantle them. This one teacher is now going up against them. He's saying, I've had enough. We should not be playing politics. We should not be advocating to defund the police. This is not what we should be doing. And it's great to see him standing up. Barbara says, I agree. The students should not be in a political learning environment. Civics classes should be taught without the teacher's political agenda. Andrew says, Republicans are not against that which you list. They are against the ridiculous spending of monies that so not directly help people. Democrat wish list packing into otherwise good bills is unforgivable. It actually has nothing to do with this teacher. He's talking about the stimulus bill that was just passed. Seymour says, when I hear teachers union, I think air traffic controllers, and he's referring to Reagan. When the air traffic controllers went on strike back in the Reagan era, President Ronald Reagan said, fire them, get rid of them. And if Trump was still in charge today, he'd be saying the same damn thing because he wasn't bought and paid for by the unions. Trump would have told the teachers unions and the teachers who didn't want to follow suit to take a freaking hike. Quit if you don't like it, because you're not holding America hostage anymore. Ron says the DNC wants to defund police and ban current legal firearms for citizens. Interesting why they want to give all those criminals the upper hand when more riots start. It's true, a little bit irrelevant to this post. Chris says teacher unions need to be disbanded. Exactly what I just said. They need to be dismantled. The teachers unions have caused this damage. We've been held hostage to this situation. Somebody actually asked me this question on my wall the other day, and I'll see if I can find it for you all. It was a great question. Yesterday, I was downtown in Rochester, New York, fighting and being part of a lawsuit that's been filed against 16 school districts. Lawsuits have been filed against 16 school districts in Monroe County, and we are in the home stretch of ending this BS once and for all. No more Mendoza, no more teachers unions, no more schools deciding how to manage our kids' lives. The parents have taken control now and will have the final say as our day in court arrives. I was trying to rally the troops, trying to get people to go down to this thing. We were outside the courthouse. So somebody had a great question, and I'm going to try to find it for you guys because it was a phenomenal question, and it's a great question to end this show on. And I read that question out loud to the lawyer yesterday. We have it on tape, so I'll play that video for you, not during the show, but I'll upload it soon. Debbie asked, and it was a phenomenal question, Debbie. Thank you for asking this. If you had to point to one entity most responsible for keeping the kids out of school buildings, to whom or to which organization would you ascribe the biggest share of the blame? My answer, the teachers' unions. They're to blame 100% for holding everyone else hostage. They continue to cause the most damage, not just here in little old upstate New York, but throughout the entire country. Look what happened in Chicago. The city got screwed out of $100 million by the unions, and that still wasn't good enough. So we have a major crisis on our hands right now. The CDC decides to lower or update their social distancing rule from 6 feet down to 3 feet, but they're still holding us hostage to wearing masks. The kids need to be demasked. We need to start lowering up across the country, and we need to fight the CDC and the teachers unions and get the masks off these kids and get them back to normal living. They deserve it after all. They deserve the same exact lifestyle that we were all so fortunate growing up having. So let's work together, America. Let's get the damn masks off of our children. Thank you guys so much for joining me today here at You Made It Political. We stream live every single day, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to Facebook, YouTube, and we're also on your favorite podcast platform. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for listening to You Made It Political with Matt Clark. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show, or leave us a review on iTunes. And if you like our show or want to know more, check out YouMadeItPolitical.com.